I've got 8 random questions, and you get to pick 3 numbers, and each one corresponds to a different random question.
Okay.
So what is your first number of 8?
3.
So this one we call other jobs. If you could learn more about another job on a film set, what job would you pick and why?
I think I would pick what I picked so far. When I thought about another thing with script writer. That's, I think, what I would like to do, and I end up doing.
Doing quite a bit of that right now. I like hearing that.
Yeah.
All right, what is your second number out of 8?
2.
All right, 2 is a nice one. This one we call the little things. I just want to know a seemingly small thing in your everyday life that brings you joy. Someone out there might think it's small and meaningless, but to you it brightens your day.
Being alone.
That's
in my
beautiful
house.
answer.
Really, I love to be alone. It's my Greta Garbo.
I get that so much. Need the recharge time, the me time.
I need it so much, and I think I have a kind of social phobia.
Well, especially when you're as busy doing what you're doing now.
With Selton Mello the other day, the actor, he told me I thought I was okay with my social phobia, but then I went to another screening and I want to go home.
I get that all too well. I feel like I run around to all of these press days and all these events, but I can do it because then I go home and I hibernate after.
That's it.
Everyone needs their hibernation time. All right, you got one more number to pick. What is your last number?
7.
Okay, number 7's a fun one. This is called set vice. Do you have an on-set vice? Something like a food or a drink or something you turn to that helps you power through a really long day on set?
Espresso. You know, I was never a fan, addicted to coffee. And then I went to work in television. I was doing a long TV series and they put an espresso machine. That, I mean, it finished me. Yesterday I was like in this long day of interviews and I was like taking coffee just to wake up. And when I went to bed yesterday, I was like, I said, no, I shouldn't have done it today, I'm trying. But coffee.
As someone who drinks a lot of coffee and has an energy drink at her feet, I very much understand that feeling.
The energy, I don't, I don't like it. And I don't like tea coffee. In America, you do this, I like that creamy coffee, Italian one.
Oh.
Short and powerful, like
Probably.
a pill.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back for a new edition of Collider Ladies Night, one that I've been eagerly awaiting since TIFF this year when I was lucky enough to celebrate I'm Still Here with Fernanda Torres. I get to say congratulations yet again. Can't wait to talk about it.
Thank you very much. I mean, Ian, it's wonderful to meet you again.
What is the movie you saw, performance you saw, personal experience you had, whatever it may be, that first made you say to yourself, I absolutely have to be an actor?
My parents on stage, of course. I mean, I was raised in the wings of theater. Our dining table was the place where they rehearsed. So I would come from school and those crazy people were like rehearsing Gil Remat, Rainer Miller, Nelson Rodrigues, Eugene O'Neill. And it's a profession that your parents do with such a love, and you can feel that they're enjoying it, sometimes more than being at home. Then you start to think, oh, it must be good to do that. So that was it.
I get that. I'm going to come back to them in a moment. But first, I wanted to make sure to ask this question because I feel like sometimes you can decide, I want to become an actor, but it's another thing to really believe in your ability to do it. So do you remember the very first thing you did that, gave you confidence in your craft, made you say to yourself, like, I'm good at this and I deserve to be here?
Good, I don't know. Because I had my parents, but at the same time in Brazil during the 70s, this theater group with the strange name of Asdrubal Trouxe o Trombone, which is a name that doesn't make sense. They were the Monty Python of Brazil. We all wanted to be like them. They were they were amazing comedians. So I started because of it. And I was very young. I went to this theater school at the age of 12, perhaps. And I did this old lady. And I had the feeling, we did it at the end of the year, that perhaps I should do it. But then to think that I did something good, it took a while.
So you did that class when you were 12. Did you go on to do any other formal training, or was it more about learning on the job?
It was a very practical school, a lot of improvisation, and then all my generation, we all learned practicing. And it's funny because at that time was really a time of Grotowski and improvisation, and it was a theater against the text. You could not do, that was old style, you should improvise. And my parents came from this generation that really liked plays and talking and Shakespeare. And so I had this kind of generation collision with my parents and my generation, and later it was wonderful to have both of it, the capability of improvising together with the capability of delivering a line.
What advice would you give to a newer actor who is intimidated by improvisation? What are the first kind of like baby steps one can take to get them comfortable with that part of the craft?
There would be no other way, dear. Come on. And when I started to write, I discovered that it had a lot to do with improvising as an actor. You just jump into the skin of a character and you start to behave like him. And suddenly a lot of things come from that. And writing has a lot to do with improvising.
That's so interesting. Like with me sitting here looking at my notes that I wrote out, the only way that I can improvise and listen and come up with follow-up questions that I hadn't planned is because I wrote it all out and I can kind of free my mind.
Exactly. First you have to structure it in some form so you can deliver it.
It makes all the sense in the world. Jumping into your first credits now, I know you were on 2 telenovelas, and I've had a lot of guests on the show who tell me...
No, it's not telenovelas.
Oh.
No, I did one soap at the age of 18 that I hated so much.
Oh, no.
I hated so much, and I was like I was the mocinha, the little heroine. And they cry. They just cry. And I hated it so much that I said, I cannot do it. And it was a problem because in Brazil, the soap opera industry is very strong with a lot of great things. It's not that it's bad, but it was not for me. Then it took a long time. I went to cinema, I went to theater, and finally I was called to a sitcom. And I discovered myself in television because then you don't have to cry, you just have a great time in a very heavy industry. And I did 2, it's a sitcom, it's a series that were very popular. And after 2 films out of it, and the other one was 5 years. 5 years.
When you are on a show for 5 years, I mean, I imagine some of this can be attributed to writing, but what is the key to making the experience feel fresh and continuously creatively fulfilling for you?
The group. I mean, we did it like we do it in theater, or like when I do it with Walter. It's a group. So we're all friends. And in a way, we produced that among ourselves. We would choose the people who would come in. So the group of actors and directors were really important for that. But it was at that time, because it's tough. You mean, you repeat a lot of times the same scene. And that was when I wrote the first novel I wrote, because I needed escape. And I could not do theater, working so much as an actress in television, and then I wrote a novel that became very successful later. So it was interesting.
I heard. Is that the novel that you then adapted to screen?
Yeah, that's it.
I need to get around to reading it.
I'll give it to you.
Oh, I would love that. I am an audiobook fiend. I can't stop listening to audiobooks. I take them everywhere I go.
I love audiobooks. I love it.
What's the last thing you listened to?
You know, I decided to learn Italian because I have the citizenship, and I said, I have to speak Italian. And then I heard, Elena Ferranti, L'Amica Geniale. Do you know this one?
I do not.
It's a blockbuster in Italy and all around the world. Wonderful. Then Italo Calvino, Umberto Eco. Do you know Umberto Eco, The Name of the Rose?
I don't think so.
The great Italian, right? Come on, there is a film with Sean Connery.
Oh, okay.
The Name of the Rose,
you said Sean
Umberto
Connery,
Eco.
and then I can
and the
tie
pendle
together.
of Foucault's pendle in Italian. Amazing, amazing, amazing. And
Okay.
Vittorio Gasma saying Dante Alighieri. Amazing.
I love
totally
getting
fine.
homework from these interviews. That always makes me so happy. Going back to your parents, actually, because those early shows, I believe both of them were on one or the other. I'm curious, what is something about each of their approaches to their work as an actor that you appreciated and kind of incorporated in your own? But then also, what is something that you wanted to be unique to you and how you tackled your work as an actor?
With my mother and father, in the beginning, you see, to do cinema was a way to be separated from them because they were so related to theater. I started in theater, but then I did like 4 movies in a row that were very successful in Brazil, and in one of them I won a Palme d'Or in Cannes at the age of 19. So that created for me a kind of separation, that I existed and them existed separately. And later was like, but it was not easy, you see. Many times they compared me with my mother, and my mother is something that you cannot reach. So I just forget about it and just move on. And also my generation wanted to be actors. So I had a generation, was not only something related to my parents. I had my generation to grow with. So that was important, I think.
I always like asking actors about their relationship with awards and those types of honors like the Palme d'Or, because I know that's not why you do the work, but depending on when you get that kind of recognition, it could really mean something to you personally. So at 19, what did that honor mean to you?
In Brazil, I was doing the soap opera. So I was thinking about giving up, the profession. And then I got that award, and I was in Brazil shooting the soap opera. And in the streets at that time, nowadays it wouldn't be like this, but at that time it became like a World Cup, like a soccer award. It became like a Pelé, was something like unbelievable. And then I believed, well, now I'll have an international career. I made all kind of, I would do just cinema. And that was when the first president elected in Brazil, he just closed Embrafilme, who was Embrafilme was the main producer of cinema in Brazil, and they just destroyed it. So cinema was over in Brazil. When I thought I would be doing a lot of movies, but it saved me because I went to theater and I did Orlando by Virginia Woolf. So I was rehearsing for 6 months and I did a play. And so sometimes the difficulties or something that you dream. So normally awards are related to something that you have done. But the problem is that what we're going to do after. And sometimes you think that it's the end of your career like this, like there's no more movies in Brazil. And you go to theater and discover a whole new world.
You just brought up international cinema, and this had crossed my mind. And I don't know if this is something that ever interested you or you wanted, but a lot of times I've spoken to actors on Ladies' Night who started their careers in other parts of the world, and they've expressed to me that they hit a point where they're like, I want to go to Hollywood and make it there. Was that ever an itch for you?
I think it was never possible for me. First, I was not like, I don't know. I never had like a film that hit internationally, even with the Palme d'Or. The film didn't succeed. And or I should move and try a life abroad, or I should stay in Brazil and work. And Brazil, that's funny because in Brazil, you can reach things. I mean, nowadays I write in the main newspaper. I can publish books. I can do plays. I can do cinema. I can write scripts. I have so many options as a producer. And once in a while, a film like Walter's movie appears, and then you go. And the other possibility, and I have friends who did it and are very successful, is to move. But then you have to move. And I never had a reason to move because my life was so incredible there that I never had this necessity of leaving Brazil.
So a really beautiful thing to have. And after we published the interview that we did at TIFF, I was just watching the comment section get flooded with people who were so excited to see you on Collider because what you've done for cinema there has meant so much to them. So
yeah, you see.
Really, a really beautiful thing to have established.
But Brazil is a strange country because we are surrounded by ocean and Spanish-speaking countries. So we feel isolated, but we are 200 million people. And we consume our own culture. So it's you feel isolated, and once in a while, something that you do go internationally, and we are so proud of it. But most of the time, we live in this Greenland of Portuguese people and creative people.
Is there anything unique to making a film in Brazil that you really appreciated and maybe wish that more industries across the world were aware of, because maybe adopting that practice could help them for the better?
The practice, I don't know. What we feel, for instance, I've read European literature, American literature, Asian not so much. But for us, like that, you don't know who Nelson Rodrigues is, that you don't know who Machado de Assis is. Clarice Lispector now is starting to be known, and Machado a bit. It's like Oessa de Queiroz, who is a Portuguese genius. I'm sure other cultures has this. I mean, when you know the canons of literature or cinema, but you don't know some films or... How can I translate it? You cannot, so it's okay. But I don't know if that was the question, but it's not only in cinema, but culturally, you see.
Oh, no, it's
music,
so true.
No, music travels more. Brazilian music is something that travels, but literature, it's like my mother, when Central Station was out and she was recognized with the talent and the power that she has abroad, was like, we knew it. There's this kind of pride, you see.
You're going to feel so much of that yourself, like now and in the coming months. Turning that idea towards you specifically, again, I was just like really blown away by how excited people were to see, us highlighting I'm Still Here, and in particular, your work. Do you remember the very first time that you yourself recognized what your work as an actor could do for other people? Perhaps like a fan encounter that really struck you and made you realize, like, the work I do matters.
Many times now. I don't know, I have this monologue that I've been doing by this great, great Brazilian author. And it's the life, the sex life of this woman that she's 70 years old. I started doing this monologue, I was 35. And I have been doing, then I stop, I come back to it. And I don't have her age yet. One day I'll reach her age and I hope to do a movie about her. And it's so amazing. I mean, and the way she speaks about sex is, in a way, it's the story of sex in the 20th century in Brazil. It's wonderful. I mean, and I know I changed a lot of things with this. And Os Normais, the sitcom, was the first sitcom in Brazil that was really, and was about this, their fiancés. They look normal, but they were punks inside. So the new behavior, the new relationship that they provoked in Brazil was so important. And now with I'm Still Here open in Brazil, and I mean, brought people back to the cinemas. It's totally full with people like applauding and hugging each other. People would like a mess. I don't know. This is so beautiful. And Foreign Land that I did with Walter. And so many moments now, because I mean, I've lived for a while.
And
I've been around for a while.
And you've been filling us up with all this wonderful content ever since. I'm so excited to see the response that this movie in particular is getting. I mean, you already know I think so highly of it and the work all of you deliver in it. To start to tiptoe into making I'm Still Here Now, can you tell me something about your approach to your work that stays the same from film to film to film, but then also something about this one that called for something different?
I think I always work as a co-author, and also I'm very faithful to my directors and my crew. I think I'm a good person to work with. I mean, I know how to work in group, how to create a good place to be, and where everybody can be creative and to do it happily. So I think I'm able to create it.
Everyone should have that quality in this industry.
No, but this is a very important quality.
Oh my God, yes.
You know, because we're not, of course we're always selfish. Everybody's selfish. I am selfish too. But you also are able to create a good team, to work in team, and to be faithful to your director. I mean, to do not destroy his presence, to be able to listen. So I think I have this humble quality. And in this film has so many different things that happened. I mean, it was profound. I mean, even when I think about Eunice, that stayed with me for almost a year, this woman that doesn't show her emotions, that feels so much, that has such a feeling of injustice and anger and fear, and has to control herself in order to take care of 5 children and to be rational and at the same time sweet, to smile. Her smile is something that when I was like watching her interviews, I said, what's this smile about? And a lot of times Walter would come to me and say in my ear, listen, it's perfect, but don't forget to smile. Because that was a key thing to this character. And I never felt what I felt with her. Never. I never did tragedy. I never did a Greek tragedy on stage or whatever. But she has this quality. And to make a character that has to abandon naivety, her utopian life of a perfect housewife from the 50s, and reinvent herself as a lawyer, as a defender of human rights. This is such a big gap. And it teaches us so much. And to do it like smiling.
It's a lot.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing.
I have so many things to follow up on. The first thing, because you brought up the kids, I did want to talk about your collaboration with the young ensemble. And I have two questions about working with them because they're phenomenal. And I know in some cases this was a first feature for some. So being an acting veteran, what is something that, someone more experienced and number one on the call sheet did for you in the past that you appreciated and now wanted to give to this young ensemble here?
So many actors did so many things. I mean, Selton's the same. Selton, my partner, he started as a kid. So we remember old actors in Brazil that we worked with. I don't know if you have ever seen Terra em Transe by Glauber Rocha.
Give me all the homework. I want so many things to watch today.
So many great actors. And they all gave us so many things that I cannot even tell you. But my experience in this film, because I had the older daughter, she's a professional already. I call her Greta Garbo because she's beautiful, she's talented, and she reminded me of myself, more beautiful than I was, but already in the job. Then you had Barbara and Luisa. And Luisa, she had, and that's why she was so good to the character, she had a certain kind of insecurity that gave her this, and I felt so much for her because I remember the day we're doing the ice cream scene where Eunice knows that he's dead finally and it's only her with the children. And the two girls look at each other and realize that something had happened. So they did my side with tons of extras and the crew and the camera and the noise and the whole thing. I did it because now I know how to protect myself, how to concentrate among that mess. And then the camera moved towards Luisa. And Luisa felt terrified. She was frozen. And she looked at me. And I understood everything. And I said, it's tough, isn't it? When the camera moves towards you and you have to deliver something. And I felt so compelled by her. I understood everything. And the children, they were picked up in the school and said, do you want to do a test for a movie? And the little one, the girl, genius, she said, and now I'm here. And one day they told us, now when I watch a movie, I know now, it's a close-up. Now they're doing long shot. Now it's whatever. And they never read the whole script. So they didn't know. One day they came and they said, the dog is going to die? They were like, and he is an actor. I mean, Guilherme, he's an actor in life. And they brought us freshness. They were, and we shot chronologically.
That is an incredible thing to have. That
made the whole difference because at a certain point, we are not acting anymore. We are just being, to be or not to be, the famous problem. You see, to do not pretend, to feel. And this film has this strange quality. We are acting, of course we're acting, but there is something beyond that.
There's a real, a texture to it and a depth to everybody, even though, we're only spending a little over 2 hours with them. Everyone feels like a fully realized person. And, like someone we've come to know over the course of the film.
Yeah, that family exists. And even when the photographs came at the end, you don't feel like, oh, so these are the real characters. There is a similarity. It's you don't feel like, oh, I saw the fake version and that's the real version. No, they are all the same.
It's so
Very
true.
strange.
It's so profound. I have to ask a question about working with Walter again, and I feel like I could ask a million questions. Here's the one that I'll choose. Can you give me an example of a time on set when maybe he gave you a thought or a note as an actor's director that helped you crack a scene, and that thought or note just speaks to how one of a kind he is as a filmmaker?
So many times.
I had a feeling.
This is beautiful. In the beginning, I did it and he said, Nanda, less. And I did it and then he said, less, trust me. And I said, I trust you totally, Walter. And the way he comes and he says something in your ear, this is from foreign land, and very gently, and that changes the mood of the scene. But I remember these two things. Don't forget to smile. Everything's perfect. And the feeling that when you do a good scene, Walter, he's so grateful to you. And at the same time, I remember, this is funny, it was the first scene we shot of foreign land. And it was in Lisbon, morning, and the actor was like on my lap, they shot him, and then they had to shoot me, and was upshot, who is awful for actors. In the morning, I was like this, and I didn't like the lines. So I was not good. At the end of the day, Walter was not talking to me. And then next day was like, Walter, you won't regret. So it created in me a thing with Walter that I have to be 100% there. That's what he asks from whoever works with him.
Oh, that's a beautiful example. You bringing up the idea of less at the beginning of that answer is making my mind go down this path now. So, a lot of this performance is about strength and is about her smiling and being who her children need at that point. But there are a couple of moments in the movie where we do see that composure crack. What was it like, I guess, justifying in your own mind why those particular moments in the script were the right moments for her to break and show her true emotion more?
I think the ice cream scene, that for me, I remember because at that time I had passed already, I had been in prison, I had go back to the house, and we've done a lot of the bathroom scene where she takes that bath. I mean, we have been through a lot of things, but then we had the ice cream day. And I remember that I arrived, I put my my costume. Very strange. I could feel that she was with me, Eunice. It's not a spiritual, the character. Then I crossed the square to the ice cream, and this heavy burden, it's something really strange when we are so long with the characters. Suddenly you access it. And then I did the scene and I had to restrain, which is the Eunice. And at the end, I went out of the set and cried for, 10 minutes. And then I could go home. And even now when I think about it, what a strange thing it is to get an emotion right, to have it. And the ritual of putting your costume, of becoming someone else, of assessing this kind of emotion, and after how you get rid of it and go back home. That day was like special day for me.
I am in awe of how you all put so much of yourselves into these characters and tough situations. This is why I sit in this seat, because I can't do that kind of hard work. So I am in awe of anyone who can. When you were explaining that, one other scene really popped in my mind, because you brought up the bathroom scene, and I'm endlessly fascinated by something like a reaction shot or a dialogue-less shot where I could see the wheels in her head turning. And I specifically think of the shot of you looking at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because there's a multitude of complex emotions in that one shot that you have to capture. So I guess how does your process change when you know you have to say all of that without saying anything at all?
That was like, you beg that the way you look to yourself. This film is really strange, you see, because what is acting in that scene? What can you do besides feeling something or understanding deeply an emotion? Because when you look at yourself, what will you do? Like you can't do anything, and you hope that there is something there. And was one of the scenes when I saw the film done alone in the editing room that I said, I felt so much for that woman that was not me anymore. And that look in the mirror was one of those moments where I didn't do anything. I just had the feeling.
Such a beautiful performance beat. I have to wrap with you. So we have hit the very last question of Ladies' Night. Every single Ladies' Night ends with this particular question. So in this industry in film and television, we give each other awards, and I think that is super cool. I think we should always do that. I find that nobody tells themselves good job as much as they should. So I want to know something you accomplished making this movie that you know you'll always be able to look back on and say, I am so proud of what I did there.
I think those two scenes that we talked about, but it's more than that, you see. An actor, each character that you do, comedy, drama, whatever, you learn with it. It's like a piano that gets better with the musics you play on that keyboard. And that's why, for instance, my mother at the end is so shocking, because my mother, she's the reunion of all the characters she has done. And she has done a lot. She can access, she understands, oh, it's melodrama, oh, it's comedy. She had felt it. So when you see her face blanked by an Alzheimer, it's so shocking. And so I'm sure Eunice taught me and tuned my instrument, which is my soul and my body, in a way that this piano here has never been played before. So I think I have now this new keyboard, you see, this new tune in my soul to access.
Hearing that. That's a beautiful answer. I'm going to say huge congratulations on this film. Thank you so much for being on Ladies' Night. It was so nice to get to sit down and have a longer conversation.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate all of the homework I have to do, because clearly I need to be exposed more to Brazilian cinema, and you have inspired that in me this year. So
Terra em Transe, you must see. It's a must see.